Sometimes inspiration finds me in quiet places, and sometimes it finds me on horseback, covered in dust, going out to check the Longhorns. But this morning, it was breakfast that stayed with me. Welcome to Whisked Away by Angela. Here you'll come with me on all my adventures, both big and small. There's something about a day that always stands out. Something that really sticks with me. So we head into the kitchen and I create a dish inspired by wherever the day leads me. If you like great food, new adventures, and living life to the fullest, you're in the right place. And I'm so glad you're here.
My friends and I wanted to do something completely different, and less than 2 hours away from home, we found it. Bandera is known as the Cowboy Capital of the world, and this place leans all the way into it. Heck, I see cowboy culture all around me here in the Hill Country, but honestly, it's never really been my world until that Sunday morning. For a few hours, it really felt like stepping back in time into the Bandera of another era. All right, let's see how this goes. Okay, yeah, we're good. Out here with good people on these horses in a place like this, yeah, I'll take this over just about anything. I expected horseback riding. Wow, I didn't expect it to feel this real. The sound of the horses before sunrise, leather creaking, coffee over the fire. It honestly felt like old Texas was still alive out there. And for a little while, modern life completely just disappeared. No phones, no schedules, no rushing around, just horses, dust, smoke, and open land. I could have stayed out there all day. Ooh, and then came the Chuckwagon breakfast. Now this felt authentic. A real Chuckwagon breakfast, cooked outdoors with coffee on the fire, a genuine singing cowboy, horses nearby, and cold morning air still hanging around us.
The Comanches were holy terrors. They climbed upon our backs. The grass was high, they would raid for 1,000 miles.
Somewhere between the biscuits and gravy and sitting around that fire, I started thinking about my grandmother. Funny how food can bring someone right back into the room with you. It felt like comfort, like home, like a warm hug from her. After breakfast, we tried our hand at roping, and let's just say it didn't come naturally. But honestly, that's part of it. You try, you miss, you laugh.
Wow.
I mean, this is a moment right here. I'm feeding Longhorns. And okay, getting licked by one. Well, that was definitely not on my bingo card today. Yep, this is about as Texas as it gets. Wow, I love this.
Biscuits and gravy have always meant more to me than just breakfast. When I was little, my grandmother would make sausage gravy with biscuits for me, and it always felt like a huge hug. So this morning, after the trail ride at the breakfast by the campfire, I noticed that they were serving biscuits and gravy, and I got so excited, and it tasted so good, and I teared up a little bit just thinking about my grandmother. It really reminded me of her. So the only thing on earth I could make this morning was her sausage gravy. And we're gonna do just a little bit extra to it because I've learned over the years there are a couple of little ingredients that kind of elevate it. let's get started. First, we're going to use 3 to 4 tablespoons of butter. Now, my grandmother did not use butter. She just used the fat from the sausage. But I have learned over the years that the butter really elevates the gravy, adds a little bit more richness to it. So we're simply going to melt this. This is all we're going to do. Melt our butter. Our butter is just about melted. So let's add 1 pound of pork sausage. Any brand will do. But I will tell you, the sausage does make the gravy, so be particular about what sausage that you use. Use the one that you love the most. All we're going to do is simply brown this. It's just going to take a few minutes. Break it up pretty good because you want nice fine pieces of sausage in there. Today I'm simply using frozen biscuits from the grocery. They're actually pretty good in a pinch. Now, I have lots of great biscuit recipes, and like I said, we'll explore those in the future. But today, this is our focus, sausage gravy. Any really good cook will tell you that the very best gravy is made by eye. And what I mean is you use your eye and your taste to determine how much of everything goes in the pan. So once you get the gist of it and you've made it a few times, then you can really perfect it to your specific taste. For instance, the next step is adding flour. When I decided to do this, I realized, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this? I don't know how much flour I use. I just know what it should look like. So I'm going to do exactly that. I'm going to do it by eye, do it by taste. I have everything measured out. I'll go back, figure it out exactly how much I use for this particular recipe, and I will put that in the comment section, the specific amounts that I use today, so you have a generalization to start with. You definitely want your sausage completely browned and cooked through. You don't want raw sausage. It would honestly be better to be a little cooked versus undercooked. Okay, this is looking good. Done all the way through, nice and brown. Let's add our flour. We are simply going to sprinkle over, a touch over the top. We're just going to simply stir that in and mix it. We're going to add some more flour. We don't want to completely absorb the fat, but we definitely want enough to make a nice roux. And then we're going to let that cook a minute and thicken up just slightly before we add our milk. Going to add just a touch more, and you'll notice that it thickens up and it'll get a little bit more brown also, but don't go too far and cook it too long. You definitely don't want a burnt taste to it. And I think that it's better to add a small amount of flour little by little, because you can always add more. You can't take away. One last little sprinkle. And then we'll stop here and we're going to let it cook. Maybe a minute or two, just to make sure that our flour is completely cooked through. The flour is what is going to thicken our gravy. And this browning gives it texture, gives it color, and it also gives it flavor. This looks perfect. Time to add the milk. Milk is the same thing. You're going to do this by eye, and you can add a little bit more. So I'd say start with about 2 cups of milk, and then you'll gradually increase as it thickens, because you definitely don't want it too thick. You do not want to end up with paste. To this, we are going to add the seasonings. I've got salt. This is strictly by preference, strictly by taste. I've got pepper, and I think a good amount of pepper is wonderful in sausage gravy. Here's the elevation from my grandmother's recipe. A half a teaspoon of onion powder and a half a teaspoon of garlic powder. And we're just gonna mix that in. Oh, we're thickening up already. So definitely we wanna add more milk. This was 4 cups of milk, and I've used about a half a cup of flour. You're simply gonna heat this, stir it until it's almost the consistency that you like. I know some people like a thinner gravy. I like a touch thicker, but like I said, I definitely don't want paste. So I want to take it off this heat before it gets too thick, about a minute before it gets too thick. Our gravy is nice and thick. It's a little bit brown. Just gonna split my biscuit. I'm just gonna ladle a nice helping of gravy. Ooh, look how nice and thick that is and full of sausage. Right over our biscuit. I grew up in the Midwest. This right here is the absolute closest thing you can get to the perfect breakfast. Okay, so let's try the complete biscuits and gravy. That right there is a hug straight from my Grandma Fay. Until next time, eat deliciously, live fabulously, and thank you for letting me whisk you away.